Well, the Sawdust Winter Fantasy is going on at our neighboring community, Laguna Beach right now, and with us on the set is artist Alex Fritz, and you'll see some beautiful work that he's done. You work in glass, so that's quite unusual. Tell me a little bit, how did you get involved in working with glass?
Well, about 12 years ago, I was living up in the East Bay area, and my neighbors happened to be glass blowers. Huh. So I would go next door and see what they were up to, and it was so interesting. It just took me in. And before I knew it, they had sat me down, taught me to make a bead and a few other items, and I went from there, and I've been doing it ever since.
Wow. I remember back quite some time ago when I used to visit Disneyland as a tourist, they always had glass blowers there, so you're always fascinated. They make like seahorses and kind of some of the stuff that you've done. Did you ever see those guys work and kind of went, wow, how do they do that?
That was my first experience with glass too. Yeah, and I was just blown away. They'd make this big intricate carriage with horses.
Right.
And I thought, how cool, and I had no idea I'd end up doing it myself.
It's almost like working with icing, but yet it hardens, right?
Exactly, yeah. Huh. And that's the interesting thing about it. You're taking a solid, melting it down into a liquid, and then bringing it back to a solid.
Right. I see some of the pieces here. You actually have a lot of pieces that are animal related. You have a frog here, and it looks like a little octopus or a squid. So a lot of them are kind of related to wildlife?
Well, what I try to do is I cover the gamut of elegant to whimsical, and I try to have a variety of different colors as well. And lately, so far at the Sawdust Winter Fantasy Show, the octopus has been the hit.
That's the one, huh?
Yeah,
right.
People love them.
So if somebody was to ask you if, hey, could you do who knows what, something like, say a frog, but I like it in my Oregon colors, or a duck in the Oregon colors, you do something like that?
I would be happy to do that, yeah.
Very nice.
Absolutely.
Now, where do you get your glass, and how important is that?
Well, I ordered online from a company called Arrow Springs, and it's called borosilicate, and it's it's great. I just order it up and they ship it right to me.
So you've never really had any problems with glass? Is it a certain material or grade of glass that you're actually melting down and utilizing?
Yeah, I use the type of glass I use is borosilicate, and it's a process called lamp working, which means everything I make is on my torch.
Wow. Let's talk about these wine glasses. These are pretty intricate, and they're heavy. For a wine glass, it's well made and it's sturdy. So
cool,
how difficult is it to make something like this?
Well, it took me a little while. Basically, I married a wino, and after several months of, hey honey, would you make me a wine glass? I figured it out, and it took some time. My first ones didn't look this straight, but after a while, I kind of figured it out, and they take me about an hour and a half to produce one.
Right. Did you keep the crooked ones?
Oh, that's all in our cabinet at home. Oh, you bet. We love them.
How difficult is it to make this so uniform like this? These are all individual pieces, right?
Correct. Yeah. So I start off here with the stem.
Right.
And then I make the base, and then I put that over in my kiln that I keep at 1,050 degrees. And then I blow out my cup, open up the hole, and then the final attachment is the cup to the stem right there. And I heat them up and I weld them together.
Wow. Because you can see these two pieces right here are nearly identical, so that's quite amazing. How do you get the color involved?
Well, I use color rods, and then for this section in here, what I do is I hold silver in front of the flame, and it fumes onto the glass. Oh. And then I'll go back and I add these clear dots, and then I'll fire polish them just enough so they're nice and smooth, but they don't lose their form. Wow. And that gives it that nice opalescent look.
Right.
That the light just reflects right off of.
Well, those are beautiful. How about some of these wine stoppers? Like this frog right here, I don't know if you can even see it, but you actually have his eyes in there as well, and it almost looks like it's 3D in some way.
Yeah.
Is that a difficult process? Is that a layering process of glass?
Yes, yeah. First I form the base, and then I draw on the body, and then I take some yellow and I pull that out thin, and I can go back and just draw out the arms and the legs. And then the eyes are a new process I recently learned using millefiori, where I create a rod that has that eyeball image going the whole way through it. And I just heat up the end of it, I stick it to the frog's head, and I go clink, and I just break it off nice and clean. And then I add a little clear on top of that. And that way you get the iris and the retina and the whole eye.
Wow, that's quite amazing. Do you have to fire these once you've already kind of molded them and developed them, or do you just wait for them to harden?
No, I absolutely do. I make them on my torch, and then when I'm done, I go and I put them in my kiln of 1,050 degrees.
Oh, I see.
And they'll sit there throughout the day, and then at the end of the day, I let it run an additional couple hours, and then I'll shut it off. And come morning time, I get to pull out all my glass.
When you were first learning this process, during that heating process, imagine it, just like throwing ceramics. You know, you come back and you might have had this beautiful piece, but maybe you know, the colors are wrong or you know, cracked or something like that. Was that a difficult learning process when you first started doing this?
A little bit, yeah, because there's a lot of trial and error going on, you know, developing new products and trying to figure out new things. And some days I'll just try out a variety of different color combinations. And then I'll take my favorite 2 or 3 and go, okay, I like this a lot. I'll reproduce these in the future.
Wow.
And even though I can reproduce like certain patterns and color combos, every one being handmade is individually its own and unique.
Wow. Have you ever tried making a wine bottle?
I have not.
There you go.
That's next on the list, Paul.
We'll see you next year. What other new things do you want to try?
Well, one thing I've just been doing, I didn't bring one with me, but is the Octopus Sculpture. And they're about 7 inches by 8 inches. And they take me about 5 hours to make.
Right. Wow.
And they're just a lot of fun, yeah. And I start off with the big octopus head, and then I make the tentacles one at a time, and I add them to it.
And you say that's the most popular item this year, huh?
Oh, it's a favorite item, the octopus bottle top. That's my #1 item.
Wow. Why do you think that is? They're kind of cute
What
in
I
an
like
unusual way.
Yeah. What I like the most about is people come into the booth and they'll be going over the bottle tops. As soon as they hit one of the frogs or the octopus, they get a big laugh and they elbow their buddy and go, "Hey, come check these out." And,
right.
You know, it's just nice to have that response from people.
Yeah, and especially with the holidays coming, these are terrific items to give as gifts to your friends and family as well.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Nice stocking stuffers, and I sell them for $25 each for the bottle tops, and then the wine glasses are $60 each, and then my sculpture octopuses go for $200
Wow,
each.
beautiful. Well, where are you located over there?
I am at 323, booth 323, right by the glass blowing demonstration area.
Are there quite a few glass blowers this year?
There sure are. I believe there's about 15 of them.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's so inspiring to watch them work, and it's just, I can't wait to get back to my torch and create new products.
Do you guys kind of share techniques too and different processes?
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely. Everyone's super friendly and sharing all their information there, and it's just generally a great vibe at the Sawdust Winter Fantasy Show.
Now, you originally were in San Diego for some time, so a beautiful place to live as well, but now you're in South Laguna. So if people want to take a look at some of your items, how could they see them?
They could check me out on alexfritzglass.com, or they could come down to the Winter Fantasy Show.
There you go.
At Sawdust.
I think once you go, check out some of his stuff online, and then go on over to the Sawdust Winter Fantasy and take a look at some of Alex's work. They're going to be there till through December 11th, obviously this weekend and then next weekend as well. So you have the next 2 weekends to come down and take a look at it. And that is the Sawdust Winter Fantasy, and also go see Alex's website as well. Some beautiful work. We thank you for coming on the show and sharing them with us today.
Thank you, Paul.
You're welcome. That's Alex Fritz. Be sure and go out there to the Sawdust Winter Fantasy. It's going to be a beautiful weekend. They'll be there this weekend and the following weekend. And then they'll be wrapping things up over there. We'll wrap up this segment right now and come back with more of the Channel 6 News Hour right after these messages.
Broadband services is more than a telecommunications company.